Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing a rugby obsession deep dive.
That's right.
We're breaking down a really interesting situation from the New Zealand versus France rugby series recently. We're using insights from a great article by Nick Bishop. It's called Why New Zealand Learned More from Their July Series Than France.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just as importantly, we're weaving in some really fascinating comments from readers, too. They add a whole other dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. And our goal today really is to get past just the scores. We want to unpack what these two top rugby nations actually gained.
Or maybe didn't gain.
Or didn't gain, exactly, from this really intense series. It's fascinating, isn't it, how two major rugby powers can look at the same three games and come away with such different learning outcomes.
Yeah, and what that means for international rugby going forward.
Precisely.
And look, this isn't just about who won. It's about pulling out the wisdom, understanding the strategies, the thinking behind it all, and, spotting the surprises, seeing the bigger picture.
Yep.
We want to hear what you think, too, of course, once you've heard all this. And hey, while you're listening, make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession. That way you won't miss any of our deep dives into the world of rugby.
Good point.
Okay, so let's get into it. The series ended 3-0 to the All Blacks. Clean sweep.
Yep.
On paper, that looks like, standard New Zealand dominance. But this article by Bishop, it makes a really interesting point. New Zealand, even though they won 3-0, actually learned more than France did. How does that work?
Well, that's the core of his argument, really. And it starts with France's unique situation. They sent over what was, let's be honest, a heavily rotated squad.
Franceby, basically.
Yeah, people were calling it Franceby. Lots of their main guys were rested intentionally. And it wasn't just a coaching whim either. No, it was largely down to these really strict player welfare criteria. Seems a lot of their key players had already hit this massive 2,000-minute or 25-game limit.
Wow, from the top 14?
Exactly. Their domestic league, the top 14, runs for 11 months. It's famously grueling. So that basically tied the hands of the French coach, Fabien Galthié. It stripped him of his ability to, as the article says, build from the foundations of one test to the next.
Yeah, no continuity.
Exactly. Makes it incredibly hard to get any real team cohesion going.
But here's where it gets really interesting, according to Bishop anyway. Despite all that, the fatigue, the rotations, he suggests France actually spurned a great opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, he reckons the series was eminently winnable for them. Even says that just a sprinkling of, say, half a dozen of their top A-teamers might have been enough to swing it.
Huh. So even with all those issues, they were potentially close to a huge upset.
Seems like it.
Well, and it wasn't a total loss for France, development-wise. Amidst all that change, Bishop highlights three players who really, stood out.
Okay.
Theo Adesogbe, Nolan Le Garrec, and Michael Guillard. And what's telling is they were the only French players to start all three tests.
Ah, okay. So they showed some real consistency and talent in a tough situation.
Exactly. They managed to shine, even when everything around them was changing week to week.
Okay, let's switch over to New Zealand then. Their coach, Robertson, took almost the opposite approach, didn't he?
Totally. He treated it much more like a laboratory bee, as the article puts it. He was deliberately experimenting.
Right, like that third test in Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly. Only 3 first-choice All Blacks started that game, and even then, 2 of them were playing out of position.
So a clear signal. This was about finding things out, building for the future.
Absolutely. Robertson's whole strategy was about deepening the talent pool. The article says he deepened his pool of talent by deliberately feeding new blood into a core group of established players.
So mixing it up.
Yeah, linking old and new, veteran to rookie, blending that experience with new energy. And Bishop argues that's what real evolution means in team development.
It's not just throwing new guys in.
No, it's integrating them strategically. Using veteran know-how to lift the rookies, building a more robust, adaptable system, getting options for different scenarios down the track.
And it seems like Razor did find some real gems, especially in the forwards.
Oh, definitely. Fabian Holland, for instance. He's now apparently a live part of the second row debate. Serious competition there.
Okay.
Then Pavai looked like a realistic option at number 6. Blindside flanker, powerful carrier, good in the line out.
Yep.
And Christian Leo Willie seems like a solid backup to Wallace Seedy at number 8, that crucial link player.
So much more flexibility in the back row. Now, that's huge for adapting game plans.
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
And they found some potential stars in the back line, too.
Like Ruben Love.
Yeah, Ruben Love had a really composed debut at fullback, looked very promising under pressure. And then there's Noah Hoffman.
Ah, the halfback.
The plucky little halfback, as Bishop calls him.
Yeah.
Apparently added real spark and tactical smarts off the bench in the last 15 of that third test.
And Razor himself mentioned him, didn't he?
He did. Robertson singled him out for his gold nugget rugby IQ. Now, Razor doesn't throw praise around lightly.
No, he doesn't.
So that gold nugget comment, it really makes you pay attention. Makes you wonder if we're seeing, the early signs of the next great all-black tactical brain.
And the tactical lessons are interesting, too. Razor mentioned France playing with, 14 in the front and a really shallow fullback.
Yeah, that high-pressure Sean Edwards defensive style. Very aggressive, up and in, tries to shut things down fast.
But Razor felt NZ didn't really expose it enough until the end.
Right. And interestingly, it was apparently Hotham coming on that led to more effective tactical kicking against that specific defensive setup.
So they could have maybe exploited that space much sooner.
It seems so. And this connects back to some history. Bishop brings up the 2013 NZ versus France series. In the second test then, NZ drastically changed tactics. They kicked the ball 40 times compared to only having 44 rucks. Basically kicked France out of the game to counter their breakdown work. Won 30-0.
Wow, okay, so they've shown they can adapt like that.
Exactly. Ruthlessly when needed. But in this recent series, Razor kind of hinted they could have done more of it, especially against that 14-man front line. They only kicked 25 times in that third test while building like 170 rucks.
So maybe a missed tactical opportunity there, even in a win.
Potentially. It shows even top teams can sometimes be a bit slow to adjust in-game, maybe miss chances to really exploit a weakness.
So looking ahead for the All Blacks, what's the takeaway? Bishop suggests Hotham could be that point of difference the All Blacks have lacked since Aaron Smith's retirement.
Which is a massive call. It implies a potential shift in how they might want to play from halfback. Very interesting.
Okay, but now let's bring in those reader comments because this is where the great debate really kicks off. Bishop argues NZ learned more, but some commenters really push back on that. One, Hammerhead calls it foolish to say NZ learned more.
Okay, strong words. What's his reasoning?
He argues France actually built a tremendous amount of depth and experience across a larger number of players. For the long haul, giving more guys international caps.
The quantity versus quality argument for depth.
Exactly. And Bishop actually replied to that comment directly.
Oh, really? What did he say?
He said, cannot agree with that. Most of those French players will never be seen in a blue jersey again, at least not in important tourneys, outside the trio I mentioned, referring back to Adesagbi, Le Garec, and Guillard.
So for Bishop, just handing out caps doesn't equal real usable depth at the top level.
That seems to be his point. It really raises that question, doesn't it? What is genuine learning or depth building in a series like this? Is it giving lots of guys a taste, or is it finding a few who can really step up immediately?
Yeah, different philosophies there. What are the risks in each approach,
And the comments also got into specific selections, which fans always love to debate.
Of course.
Criticizing Razor for bringing in an 80-test veteran like ALB at center when maybe they needed to blood someone new there. And naturally, the ongoing Damian McKenzie versus Ruben Love at number 10 debate.
Yes, the DMAC question. Always lively. Some wanting Love to get a proper run in that key spot.
It just shows how invested people are in these strategic calls.
Absolutely. But what seems pretty clear from both the article and the comments are a few things everyone kind of agrees on.
Okay, like what?
Well, that the series was not what it could have been, in terms of pure top-level competition.
Right.
And that France probably could indeed have made it a better series if they'd sent their best team. And crucially, that they actually could have beaten NZ at home in a historic series.
Yeah, that chance for a massive win on NZ soil, that was definitely missed, regardless of the reasons.
Huge missed opportunity.
And look, if you're finding this deep dive as interesting as we are, just a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to Rugby Obsession wherever you get your shows. Your support really does help us keep doing this kind of analysis.
Definitely does. So connecting this to the bigger picture then.
Yeah.
France, as the article says, will probably be kicking themselves for blowing a real opportunity.
You'd think so.
Missing out on a colossal confidence-building series victory down there. That sort of win can really ignite a squad. And Bishop concludes that France's approach actually shifted interest further away from the international game.
How so?
By sort of cementing national allegiance to that ever-growing hub of global club rugby, the top 14. almost prioritizing the club game and player welfare over that potentially defining international tour.
Interesting perspective. Whereas New Zealand,
New Zealand, conversely, have eaten most heartily and picked the bones from the table. Robertson found options. He promoted some evolution, especially, like we said, in the forwards and finding guys like Hotham and Love.
they really use their experimental time well.
Maximized it, yeah. And this brings up another great point from a commenter. SK.
Go on.
SK highlights that winning in New Zealand builds massive belief. Cites Ireland, Argentina as examples. Teams using those tough tours as springboards.
Like the Springboks winning there in 2018 before the 2019 World Cup.
Exactly. Often seen as a catalyst. So for NZ now, with this new depth they've identified, the focus has got to be the Rugby Championship, getting back that #1 world ranking, using what they learned.
So let's put it to you listening. What do you think was the biggest learning moment for either side in this series? Or maybe what's the lesson the whole international rugby calendar should take from this?
Yeah, because that core tension is still there, isn't it? Did France do the right thing, prioritizing player welfare in the top 14, even if it meant sacrificing a shot at immediate glory? Was that a good long-term investment in depth or not?
And did New Zealand really squeeze every drop out of their experiments? Or could they have pushed the tactical evolution even further during those games?
Tough questions.
And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. With player welfare becoming such a huge factor, how do you see this balance shifting, between the demands of club rugby and what national teams need to perform at their best internationally? It's a massive challenge.
It certainly is, and this series really threw it into sharp focus.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to this Rugby Obsession deep dive. We genuinely love hearing your thoughts, so please leave a comment or reach out,
Yeah, let us know what you reckon.
and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.